When Republicans first took over the House of Representatives, one of the things we dealt with was reauthorization of the highway bill. And certain of the things we did was to remove certain mandates from states regarding helmet laws, speed limits, and the like, to allow for states to not have these strings attached to dollars that are going to the various states. The states can have helmet laws. The state of Indiana has seatbelt laws. That speed limits are obviously in place. But it was our desire to allow for local governments to make these decisions and not attach strings to funding dollars. I apologize, but I'm not exactly sure if those such strings are there for sound barriers. I don't believe they are. I think those are decisions made on a case-by-case basis, and then in fact I think locally decisions are made to reduce sound for the homes and the like that are there. I don't know that for sure, but so I can't speak to that. But I would be in favor of removing those strings if they are in place. But I would not be in favor of mandating that the states couldn't erect sound barriers if they so chose. So,
Mr. Slipman. Yes, and I would agree with that. I think that it is better for the government that serves closest to the people to make those decisions based on the feelings of the local communities, and rather than the federal government dictating, to what a community can or cannot do. I think it is better suited for the states to make those decisions down to even the local government. Now, I know the interstates obviously are under state control and under federal control to some extent, so I think that it is better suited for the state governments, the state legislatures to make those decisions, and that the federal government, again, not infringe on those rights and responsibilities of the state government to make those decisions.
Okay, thank you. As Mr. Bates answers, if you take the mic to the lady back there, halfway up the aisle, right, we'll catch her next. Mr. Bates.
I think there's precedent for the state to have to say, such as with our speed limits. 65 in Ohio, unfortunately. Thank God it's 70 in the state of Indiana. Isn't that wonderful? And so, if we can pass legislation on the federal level to give that authority to the state, which you're not going to find any disagreement, at least among these four candidates, of the need to give the states back more of their rights, then absolutely, I think all four of us would pass legislation to do that. And thank you for bringing it up.
Okay, very good. And because it is 70 and not 65 here, that means, Mr. Stutzman, you were only over by 12 miles an hour. Yes, ma'am, right there. Thank you.
I am a member of the Fort Wayne 912, and I am a listener of both Glenn Beck and Rush Limbaugh. And you hear a lot of dialogue going on about the direction that they see our country going in. And I would like all four of you to answer this question for me. The United States of America is a republic, not a democracy, as it is commonly called. Can you please tell me what you see the difference is between those two types of governments, and do you believe that our country is heading to Marxism the same way that they believe it?
Thank you for your question. Okay, so democracy or republic, and which direction are we heading? Let's start down the other end with Marshall.
Okay, good question. It's one that has been talked about a lot, and with good reason, because of the overreach of the federal government. We are a representative democracy. We elect our representatives to go to Washington to serve the republic, to make decisions for us. Democracy is all decisions be made by a general public vote, and I believe that our founding fathers got it right. And Benjamin Franklin even said, when he was asked, what kind of government structure do we have? And he said, you have a republic as long as you can keep it. And I believe that we have a civic responsibility as citizens of this great country to vote and to make our voice heard at the ballot box in electing those. And I think it's so important for us to have competitive elections. That is one thing that the McCain-Feingold campaign finance law has done. It has created an incumbent protection act more than competitive elections. And so I think that our Constitution was crafted in a way to protect the rights and freedoms of each one of us, and would always support our form of government and republic. And also, there was a second part of the question. I'm sorry.
She asked the question, democracy or republic, and how do you feel about the direction we're going? Are we heading toward Marxism or?
I can't say if we're heading towards Marxism, but I think that, one of the things that we have seen in the change of the 17th Amendment and changing the way that our U.S. senators are now elected, serving in the Indiana legislature gives me a different perspective than each of these gentlemen, because understanding how the federal government affects the states, and when we used to elect our U.S. senators from the legislature, there was an accountability to the states from our U.S. senators. I don't think we'll ever probably change that, because there would be the argument made that we're taking the vote away from the people, and there's pros and cons to that. But I believe that we've been through tough times before.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Hosted, for your answer.
Madison discussed this in the Federalist Papers regarding the difference between a republic and a democracy and what form of government we are in. And Madison came down, and the Constitution came down on the side of a republic, whereby individuals would be sent to a central government and represent their constituents, but take an oath to support and defend the Constitution, and that even the will of the people could not supersede that fundamental law and the adherence to that fundamental law. Today, however, we are in the process of even superseding that notion. It was Cicero, I believe, that once said that a democracy is not a form of government to last long. It will only last so long until the people realize that they can vote themselves largesse from the public treasury. They will do so and bankrupt it. We are bankrupt, friends. We have $1.6 trillion in annual deficits. And if we do not return back to that notion of a republic, a notion of limited government, that we will fulfill Cicero's observation. And it's my desire that we not do that. Are we on a road to Marxism? I believe that we are seeing that we are on the road to that antithesis, that idea of socialism, that the government controlling the means of production. We effectively, the government, not we, I'm not part of that problem, but the government effectively is controlling the means of production at General Motors, is effectively controlling the means of production at Chrysler Corporation, and to a certain extent is effectively controlling the means of credit, as it is allowed through several of the banks that we bailed out. I hope we do not continue down this path.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Bain.
My wife, Laura, and I also founded a 912 organization here in Indiana. In fact, we were on Glenn Beck concerning that, as well as the Tea Party movement. And we had the third largest, to make a long story short, the third largest group on the evening of that March 13th, when we all gathered to watch the program. And today, the Indy Defenders of Liberty is now the largest 912 group in America, right here in Indiana. That's what we do here in Indiana. So I'm proud to be part of the 912 organization. Look, we are a republic. That means we send those to go represent us. More directly, we're a constitutional republic. That means we base our republic on a limited constitution with moral boundaries. What we have become is more of a political class republic. I can tell you from a guy that's coming from the outside looking to get in, that the system is specifically set up to keep those who are in, and those who are out, no matter what party you're in. And, the Constitution, our founders were very clear on what they were looking for the representatives and for the senators. And in Article 1, Section 3, it states the qualifications for a senator. And it's very basic. It has to do with age, and being a citizen of this country, and then being a citizen of the state. For our founders knew that they wanted their neighbors with a common experience to go and represent their neighbors. That once it became a political class, once it became a career, once you could go and make money at it, that our liberties would be gone. This experiment, as they called it, would be over. And that's where we're headed today. Look, I don't know if we're truly headed down the Marxist path. Certainly we have those who believe that way. But I think we are definitely headed down a European socialist path.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Bates.
We are a constitutional republic with a democratic process, but I would say, yes, we're headed toward Marxism. I want to give you three things that I see happening. that is taking power away from the people and giving it to the federal government.